I'm actually sitting in the queue again at the local recycling centre. Just seems to be such a regular thing. I'm down here a couple of times a week now. But I actually started the day at just before 8:30 this morning. I visited a client, which is the first time we've done anything like that in a number of months. So client is motor mechanics, and what we were doing is at long last convincing them of certain ways of streamlining their systems using more and more features on Xero. Up to now, the guys have been very wedded to their own kind of invoicing process, which was always largely Excel based. Yes, there's a template, and yes, there's a wee bit of functionality within that, and the guys have just been doing the same thing for sort of 12, 13 years, and I think it's the old habits die hard situation that's cropped up. But we'd implemented Xero. We had been using Xero for them for a number of years, but we hadn't fully implemented it until MTD for VAT comes around, and then was like, right, well, we have to go down this road. It was a good chance to get the business to start doing everything cloud-based. And what the one bit that we had to crack with them was their sales invoicing. They were so wedded to their old traditional method of doing it. So what we really showed them today was that instead of sticking with their invoice template on Excel and literally printing out every single invoice for every single customer and then saving their invoices into a folder all in number sequential kind of order and stuff, what we did was basically got them to do their invoices straight onto Xero. We designed, I think the layout of the invoice was always a wee bit off-putting, because the guy just wanted it to look a certain way. My advice is that quite often the look of the invoice on Xero is sufficient. It covers all the bases, and if you get yourself hung up on the size of a certain bit of lettering, it's a matter of trying to shift your focus on to the efficiencies that the system's going to bring to you. So we were able to say, look, you don't need to print these invoices anymore unless you have to print them for the customer and attach them to the service report. But if you can get a customer's email address, you can simply email all your invoices out. Also, by doing that, you're building up a database of email addresses for customers, which you could maybe use for some kind of marketing purposes in the future. You can, send out statements to some of the business customers who have credit accounts, and that process can be more automated as well by having everything on Xero. And you could, if you really wanted to, have their service reports maybe scanned and attached to the actual invoice as a file attachment. So there's loads of little things that I was able to think off the top of my head when I was working with him that he was like, yeah, this really sounds like it will work for me now. And I just had to shift his focus from the nitty gritty of how the invoice looks and the size of bits of letter and should the logo be at this side or this side, and to look, let's focus on the time you're going to save. And of course, you don't have to worry about all the paper and all that sort of stuff. So often shifting your focus onto what your end result is meant to be. And what we were looking to do here was automate and streamline the sales invoice processing. Staying focused on that will get you to that end goal, and avoid you getting stuck at some of the less significant aspects of tasks that you're doing on an ongoing basis, like the size and colour of your lettering and logo and stuff on the invoice. And so it was useful, and actually a big result to get this guy to change his habits after 12 or 13 years. So it'll be interesting to see how he feels about his invoicing today, as they are open and they're doing whatever they do today for servicing cars and so on. Let's see how he feels at the end of the day about how much smoother the whole process is, and hopefully he just moves forward from there.